Hail the return of the Jesus Lizard. The 90s noise band is back with their first new album in 23 years. Here is frontman David Yow with his thoughts and feelings on this very unexpected record.
I guess I'm sort of excited. I'm happy with the record. It turned out I think a lot better than I expected it to.
Right.
So, that's something to be proud of, I guess.
It is indeed. Well, I've seen some of the reviews already, and they've been universally positive, so that's always a plus. Does it mean anything to you?
It's like I think this is oh God, it's a filmmaker, and I'm sketching on his name. But I think he recently was quoted as saying, making movies is kind of like sex. I do it for my own benefit, and if anybody else enjoys it, great.
There's an attitude.
Yeah.
So that's how you feel about making this record, Rack?
Well, sort of, kind of. I mean, it's not dissimilar from the sort of approach that I think we've always had. We're aiming to please ourselves before we please anybody else.
I understand. Yep. And of course, everyone knows, it's been years since the previous one, 23 years or some ridiculous amount of time. And the backstory is that I guess you heard some of the other band members fiddling around and heard something that you liked, and off we went. So if you care to elaborate on the story, you probably told it a billion times, but we'll take some of the highlights if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, well, we broke up. I think our last show was in 1999. And then in 2009, we kind of got together and did what I like to call reenactment shows.
Right.
And those were really fun. I mean, I never ever expected them to happen, but I love the guys in the band, so it's pretty great. And so then we did another little reenactment tour a few years ago, and I think the other boys had been working on material kind of behind my back. They didn't tell me because they knew that I would be the reluctant one who kind of was like, well, why? We're not even a band anymore. We broke up for forever.
Right.
They played some of the ideas for me, and I thought, I don't know, I thought they were viable and worthwhile. So next thing you know,
so now that you made this record, do you think of the band differently?
No. Yeah, and I don't think anything's really changed except we have more wrinkles, and actually, honestly, I think we're probably better than we were back in the old days, because they've all been playing for these 26 years. And some years ago, I even had vocal lessons. So
oh my
every
God.
now and then, I might, pass by the right pitch or something.
Right. What'd you learn in your vocal lessons? What was it? What did you take away most?
Muscle memory, like just sort of getting your mouth in the right position on particular notes.
Right.
And my hearing is really shitty. I have hearing aids and stuff, but still, I guess it's a taught thing, but it's easier for me now than it was back then to find the note, to try and match a note,
Right.
harmonize with it.
And I guess back in the 90s, it would have been very unpunk to take vocal lessons and stuff like that. You just want to shout it out, right?
Yeah, and I didn't really care, I mean, I did some singing stuff, and it was, it worked.
Right.
I think. But some of the time.
Right. Now, my understanding is that you when you started making this record, I think it was right before Steve Albini had passed away. So that would have been an option, I guess, but you chose not to. So maybe you can touch on Steve's contributions to you over the years, and how you did get this thing underway as far as the recording.
Well, Steve was always, he recorded all the touch and go records that we put out.
Right.
I think that's 4. I'm not sure. And it was always a blast. I always enjoyed working with him. There was a big chunk of years where Steve and I were besties.
Right.
And that was a pleasure and an honor. We didn't we knew we weren't going to record with Steve because just for whatever reasons, like when the last record we recorded with him, there were some disagreements and discrepancies and stuff and with us and him, and it just was it wasn't that bad, but it was kind of ugly enough to keep us from being as close as we had been.
Right.
And so I don't think he was ever even in the running for the production on this record. But Dwayne, our guitar player, lives in Nashville, and he had worked with Paul Allen in the past. And Paul Allen is a sort of Nashvilleian, um, and it was quick and easy to work with him. He had done some demos at where we practice in Nashville, and with just he brought in a small variety of mobile recording equipment.
Yep.
And man, just made this tape that it blew my mind. It was like it seemed like it was half an inch from releasable. It was
Right.
just sounded really, really good. And so that gave me high hopes.
It sounds like it was quick and easy. It sounds effortless, and it sounds like there's a lot of energy there on the
Yeah,
record.
for the great most part, yeah, for sure.
Did it feel that way when you were making it? When you're in the studio, you're going, "Oh man, something's happening here."
Um, yeah, more with the instruments than with the vocals.
Okay.
Um, I still had some more figuring out what to do, which is, which is semi par for the course. In the past, like they'd be ready to record an album and I'd be 85% ready.
Right.
I don't know why. I guess because more often than not, the vocals are the last thing we put on there and they want to hurry up and get in there. But there was one day when I was doing vocals, and they just didn't seem to be happy with any fucking thing that I was doing. And it really hurt my feelings and made it very difficult um, to work on because I felt ganged up on.
Right.
And but we finished that evening. I went back home and I thought about it and thought about the ideas, and everything worked out fine.
Okay. So you have a song called "Alexis Feels Sick," which I think there's a video out for it at the moment, and I think you created the video as well. So I'd like to kind of get an insight into what you were thinking about and trying to accomplish with the video and with the song. There's a lot of dogs in it.
See stone faces too real to retaliate. See no face who didn't come to decimate. Digging a hole in a hole with a broken back. See stone faces too real to retaliate. See no face who didn't come to decimate. Digging a hole in a hole with a broken back. Suffering a fractured mind.
A dear friend of mine does a musical entity here in Los Angeles, and I saw her do a show. Golly, it was like close to a year ago, and she had some projections of some AI stuff on the back. It was so cool looking and so fucked up. It was just,
Right.
it just doesn't, the thing with AI video, or at least inexpensive or free AI video, it doesn't know what it's doing.
Right.
And it makes a lot of mistakes that I generally think are really cool.
Gotcha.
So I talked to her about it, and she said she used a program called Pika, Pika, and I just started messing with it. And I had some ideas, of lyrical correlation that would have something to do in the video. Like you mentioned the dogs. The last sort of little verse talks about the sheer greed of the dogs and the hatred they adore. And it was just about the overall thing is kind of about gluttony and stupidity and hatred and political bullshit.
Uh, Well, speaking of politics, in a few minutes, as we're speaking here, there's going to be the debate with Trump and Harris happening on TV. Are you going to watch that?
I as soon as I can, you're the first of three. I have two more to
Okay.
do after we're done, so I don't think I'll see the beginning of it.
Okay. And I know you're a cat fan, and of course, JD Vance has gone on record as being kind of critical of childless cat ladies. So what did you make of that?
Um, that guy's he's sick in the head. I mean, what the fuck? Well, the shit everything on Trump's side of the fence, the people that they say is just gibberish. It's absolute 100% bullshit.
Yep. So why is it a close race even at this point, do you think?
I don't know. Uh, because it's better than what it was going to be.
Okay.
With Biden, bless his little heart, he just like it was weird because I don't really keep up with politics as well as a lot of my friends, but the overall feeling when Biden stepped down was just incredible because you suddenly felt all these people like me who
Yeah.
had given up completely. Like, why bother? Why would I donate any more money to this completely losing cause?
Yep.
And so whatever, Kamala will like make things better, but still it's broken. The country is fucking broken.
It does feel that way. And you get a different perspective as an American living abroad. As soon as I got over here, it was like, oh, seeing it from the outside looking in is quite an eye opener. So,
Yeah, my wife and I are moving to Portugal at the beginning of next year, and I can't wait.
oh, okay. So why
So,
Portugal? Drug
we
laws?
what's that?
The drug laws?
No, we've been talking about expatting for a few years, and we just considered Mexico and pretty much anywhere on the northern Mediterranean.
Right.
And then we went to Portugal and just really dug it. And we went back a few weeks ago and found a place we like and signed a lease.
Oh, cool. Nice one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it does feel like things are going down the toilet sometimes. But then on the other side, like the New York Times did a feature on the Jesus lizard. How did that happen? What do you think about that?
Good publicist? I don't know. Yeah. Excuse me.
Sure.
Yeah, that guy, what's his I'm sketching on his name, the writer from New York Times. He was really good. He was fun to talk to.
Oh, good. But what did you think when you heard that the Times was interested in what you're doing this time?
I thought it was great. I mean, there was an email between the four of us and David Sims, our bass player, who's certainly, well, he and Dwayne are the most up on current events, and David is a history buff and keeps up with all that stuff. He was just beside himself. He was going, I can't, it is the New York fucking Times. So.
It is indeed. Now, I think it's been like 4.5 years between gigs for you guys. You just started doing it again. And I think I saw you were crowd surfing at this No Values Festival yet. So you seem to haven't lost anything. You're not getting any younger. None of us are. How do you approach the live performance these days? Is it any different than when you were here playing the big day out in the 90s?
Well, it's more difficult for sure. I mean, there's no way it wouldn't be. But once we were aware of these shows coming up, I hired a physical trainer who
Oh,
I've
really?
been seeing since February, and most of the time, if schedules allow, 3 times a week I go train with him, and it's 45 minutes of sheer hell.
Yeah.
And that is what's enabled me to, like, we played last Saturday in North Carolina, and I think we played 90 minutes, and I could have gone longer, but we played everything we had on our list.
Right. Oh, that's all right.
Mm.
And are the audiences different than they were back in the 90s? Is the interaction
Yeah.
different?
Well, there's older people, but there are people in the audience who weren't even born when we broke up, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of them. And I suppose I attribute that to the internet, you know, which is before it was word of mouth and, you know, fanzines and this and that magazine, but now it's yeah, we're more popular than we were back in the old days, which is
It,
cool and funny.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because I think he played at the power station here in Auckland like 3 times. It's right around the corner from where I am at the moment. And it's a big day out once. And one of the guys who writes for my 13th floor thing, his name is Simon. He goes, oh, ask David if he remembers the interview I did with him on BFM in the 90s. And I'm like, oh, well, I doubt it, but I'll mention it. But in general, do you remember what are your do you have any remembrances of being in New Zealand and how those
Oh
gigs went
yeah,
down?
yeah. Well, I think when we did Big Day Out, I think that the very first show was in Auckland,
Yeah, that sounds right.
and it had been raining for 4 days.
That also sounds right.
And so it was just a huge mud pit, and I was getting tossed around by the kids, and my wedding ring came off.
Oh, jeez.
And I was laying on my back, and I motioned to the guys. I was going, stop, stop. And so they stopped, and I said, and I thought, it's not possible. It's a fucking mud pool.
Right.
And a moment later, this one kid goes, I got it. And that was just incredible. There was, I think we played a club show with Rage Against the Machine there, I
Right.
think. And somebody was booing us and saying, fuck you, get off the stage, Rage Against the Machine. And I think I told him, look, we've got like 3 more songs. Just go to the back of the room, you'll be fine. And then when Rage came on, Zach, the singer, gave them a big earful of "fuck you" for disrespecting the lizard and stuff.
Don't disrespect the lizard. Yes. Very.
I remember the Turkish pizza. There's
Oh,
really good Turkish pizza to be had in Auckland.
okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, all right. And now getting back to the new record, you got a tune called "Falling Down," which I'm kind of interested in hearing how that came about. It's kind of, I'm assuming it's about the kind of failing of the education system in the States, but it's been a while since you've been to school, I'm assuming, or public school.
Don't call me courageous. I don't think I'm a fool. Well, this blessing's contagious. Where your son goes to school, he can rewrite the pages. He can rewrite the rules.
It's largely an overview of how crappy the States is, and and largely education stuff. There's a fair amount of that, you know, since Trump showed up on the scene. It's just like it's unignorable,
Yep.
and you know, so it works its way into a few. There's a few things on the record that sort of vaguely address the stupidity of stuff.
Right. And you have a tune called "What If," which is kind of a spoken word thingy going on there.
I've always wondered, what if? What if the widow was kind of crazy? What if she told him she was bored and wanted to go somewhere else?
That Dwayne wrote the words to that. I wrote the words to everything else.
Ah,
But Dwayne he had an idea about these guys going out with some widow years ago, and he wrote that. And I had been having a really difficult time with what to do on that song. And so when he suggested that I just do this and sort of narrate it, I thought, okay, that's cool, and do some weird sounds and stuff, and
yeah.
it's kind of creepy and unnerving, like it ought to be. What?
Like it ought to be. And what are your thoughts and feelings about the rock and roll state of rock and roll in 2024?
Gee whiz, Marty, I don't really pay much attention to it.
Okay.
We've been getting a lot of emails recently with the promoters and our booking agent suggesting people who could open up for us. And, they'll send us a demo of some band in Philadelphia or something. I'm going, I don't care. But there's a handful of, I came across a woman who goes by I Speak Machine, and she's out here in LA, and it's a solo thing. Like, she just plays keyboards and sings, but it's really, really good. It's that kind of thing that's kind of more synthy has never really been much my cup of tea, but the way she approaches it, it's really, really cool. And I'm trying to get her on some shows. Another great band of the youngsters is Skating Polly.
Okay.
I've been trying to get them on some. But yeah, honestly, I just don't keep up.
Right. Well, in the streaming age, you have the access to everything, which is kind of overwhelming, and it's hard to focus on anything. So, fair enough.
True. Yeah.
So one last question for you. I'm just wondering, at this stage in your career, do you and the band feel you have anything left to prove? Is that why you're doing it, or are you just having a good time?
I feel like I should just say, no, we don't have anything left to prove, but I also feel like I should come up with some goofy answer.
Whatever you choose.
Yeah, golly, Marty, I don't think we have anything that we feel that is left to prove. There's it has been flattering, some of the feedback or whatever we've gotten. And there's a band called Chat Pile, and I think maybe it was even in the New York Times article that they're like a new band who does similar noisy shit as we do. But they were quoted as saying that the Jesus Lizard is for all the noise bands, that the Jesus Lizard is the dragon that they're still all chasing. And so if that's actually the case, which I don't know if it is or it isn't, I like that. I think that's, well, all right, you just stay back a little bit, you guys. Don't get too close.
Yeah, you can get them to open for you.
Yeah.
That might be a double bill. All righty, very good. Well, hopefully we'll see you guys winding your way down to this part of the world at some point. That would be exciting, because
yeah, be sure to please
fans down here. I know that.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I love New Zealand and Australia. I just love it. It's great.
All right. Very good. Well, thank you very much, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, Marty.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram, and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.